The latest pronouncements from United States President Donald Trump regarding the conflict with Iran paint a complex and often contradictory picture. While the president speaks of winding down military efforts, reports simultaneously confirm a significant reinforcement of troops in the region. On March 21, 2026, President Trump signaled a potential de-escalation of the war with Iran. He aims to reassure his fellow citizens who are currently feeling the strain of rising gasoline prices. In a post on Truth Social, the president declared, "We are close to achieving our goals and are now considering scaling back our extensive military efforts." Just before his departure for Florida for the weekend, with a waiting helicopter visible in the background, President Trump told reporters that the United States and Israel had achieved a victory. He stated, "I believe we have won. We have neutralized their Navy and their Air Force. We have neutralized their air defense. We have neutralized everything. We can move freely. From a military perspective, they are finished." Yet, despite these claims of victory and de-escalation, media reports concurrently indicate a substantial reinforcement of United States military presence in the Persian Gulf. This deployment includes 3 amphibious assault ships and approximately 2,500 Marines. Marines are highly versatile elite soldiers, and their deployment alone does not definitively reveal President Trump's precise intentions. However, information from the White House suggests a serious consideration of deploying ground troops. President Trump also renewed his criticism of NATO allies yesterday. He described them as cowards for their perceived lack of courage to intervene in the Strait of Hormuz. He expressed a desire for countries that utilize the critical waterway to become more engaged, noting that China receives 90% of its energy and Japan 95% via this route. It is noteworthy that the Trump administration typically considers China its most significant global adversary, making the president's repeated invitations for China to deploy its military to the Strait of Hormuz quite remarkable. However, just 90 minutes after calling for more support, President Trump appeared to shift his stance again. He posted on Truth Social that the United States does not view itself as having the primary responsibility to protect the Strait of Hormuz and would only assist others upon request. In a related development, the United States has temporarily eased sanctions against Iran, its adversary in the conflict. This measure allows Iran to sell crude oil already in transit on ships. The United States government expresses hope that this action will help stabilize the markets. However, the nation's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent presented a different interpretation on March 19, 2026, stating that this action would ultimately harm Iran. Secretary Bessent claimed, "Essentially, we will use Iranian oil barrels against the Iranians to keep the price low over the next 10 to 14 days as we continue this military action." According to Bessent, this involves 140 million barrels of oil, which is nearly the worldwide demand for 1.5 days. Iran likely would have sold this oil anyway, as China is its most important customer, and tankers bound for China are permitted to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. However, this temporary lifting of sanctions now also enables Western customers to purchase Iranian oil. Iran, for its part, declared that it currently has no oil reserves at sea. Just days prior, the United States had also temporarily lifted oil sanctions against Russia, a move that could potentially allow that nation to significantly offset revenue losses incurred from international penalties. This complex situation continues to evolve, marked by a dynamic interplay of military actions, diplomatic statements, economic pressures, and shifting international alignments. President Trump's administration navigates a delicate balance between de-escalation rhetoric and military posturing, all while contending with domestic economic concerns and international alliances. What's your take on Trump's Iran paradox, peace claims amid troop surge? Share your view in the comments. Do you think this will matter in the next news cycle? This video was generated using artificial intelligence.